Hey, everybody. So thank you for joining me again on a wonderful Friday evening to start to the weekend. As always, everybody, I always appreciate you guys following along on the show. Everybody that comes and has become a part of this community that I've been help building. All the gratitude in the world, because without you guys, this show doesn't carry as much weight as I would like it to have. And you guys bring so much to the table, and I hope that every single day that I do this, I get to add a little bit of value and hopefully impact somebody's life out there. That's the whole purpose of why I get up and I want to do this, with all my heart. So again, so guys, thank you so much as always. You are the rock star of what's going on. So David Mumford's already commenting. Thank you, David, my friend, as you are awesome, buddy. Always in my book. So let's start, guys, with the particulars, and we get them out of the way as always. As always, why am I using that word again? Dang it. I'm thinking, okay, let's go. Keep going forward, guys. So if this is your first time watching us on YouTube, thank you so much for watching there. You can check us out on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/the letter C/ Made from Scratch Broadcast on YouTube. If you're watching there, do us a favor, hit the like and subscribe button. We are always trying to build our viewership there, and hit the notification bell. It'll let you know whenever we do schedule new lives, whenever we are live, or whenever we drop new content on the channel. So guys, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. You guys rock. And of course, we're streaming live on Facebook, so you can check us out on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com// Made from Scratch Podcast. A little bit different on that one. So if you're watching on Facebook, guys, hit the like button. Thank you so much if you're watching there. It'll also let you know whenever we do schedule new lives and whenever we do go live on Facebook. So if you're watching there, thank you again so much. And we are streaming live on Twitter via Periscope, guys. So if you're following us on Twitter, you can check us out on our handle there at MFSB Live on Twitter. Do us a favor, follow us. We will always follow you back. So thank you so much if you're watching on Twitter. And of course, we are streaming live on LinkedIn, everybody. So if you're watching on LinkedIn tonight, if you're not connected with me, please do me a favor and send a connection request to me, an invitation. Man, I always look forward to meeting new wonderful people. I met two wonderful people today and had a really great conversation with both of them. They're going to be featured guests on the show. Really had me pumped after having these conversations. So knowing that there's so many beautiful, wonderful people in this world that have the same heart, the same ideas, and share the same compassion, man, it's always a really great thing for me. So if you're watching, guys, on LinkedIn, thank you so much. And of course, guys, we are streaming live on Twitch, and you can check us out there on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/ Made from Scratch Broadcast on Twitch. So Twitch is a little bit of a different platform that we use. We're trying to build that up. I do have a few watchers there. So Mr. Impact Durano, thank you so much for watching on Twitch. As always, you guys always rock. So yeah, this guy, jokes, already coming with jokes. Well, I guess it's okay to have jokes. It's Friday, so I'll take that for what it's worth. So thank you so much. Mac Paturano. So Mac Paturano, thank you so much for reaching out. As always, guys, you guys, as always, why is that becoming my catchword? Miss Lieb, I'm going to get you. Okay, so let's keep going forward, guys, with the conversation. And let me start off by giving a little introduction to this evening's guest. So she has a very interesting story. And I want to start out by saying I was introduced to her by a friend who kind of helped me, has been helping me a lot with the show and stuff. So what am I doing? Wait a minute. Guys, I got to hold on a second. I got to halt the show for a sec. Why, you wondering? Because I'm not live on Instagram. And that would probably help. So if you're watching us on Instagram, which is a little bit different than what we usually do, of course, on all our regular channels, on Instagram, we do stream live, but you get a little back behind the scenes view of only me, our little intimate conversation on Instagram. So if you're not on Instagram watching, thank you so much. You and me, this is our little time together. So Okay, everybody else, thank you again. Um, who else is commenting? Uh, yeah, I didn't mention that name. Oh, okay. Yes. Again with the jokes. So we got a joke series going on here, folks. So thank you so much if you're watching. And Mr. Pollock, thank you as well. I just want to get a drink because it is cold and warm in here. So, like I was saying, this evening's guest has an interesting story, and we're going to go into where she's coming from as far as her story and where she wants to head to. This is like her first real time doing a live stream, so we're going to be gentle on her. Um, but she did, here's the thing though, she had a conversation with Gary Vee, so that's got to be pretty intense to be live on there and have a few words with him. I would love to have at least 10 minutes with him because there would be tons of questions that I want to ask. And I will get that opportunity, just not at this present moment. But again, guys, thank you so much. I love my community. These guys are pretty awesome. But guys, do me a favor as well and help me welcome to the show Miss Bella Marciano. So, hey, Bella, how are you doing this evening?
Hello.
Yeah, say hi to everybody. So everybody's watching here. We got a few people who are pretty familiar with you. One gentleman named Mike Padurano. He kind of knows you a little bit.
That's like my brother.
Yeah.
But
Um, well, he's kind of he's kind of a little bit of a flawed guy, but I love him anyway. He's got his things, and I have mine, and
we
um,
all do.
exactly right. We all do. So let's start off a little bit. Tell us about where, kind of like where you were born and raised, and then from there we'll kind of go a little bit into your past experiences, and we'll talk about that little story as well. So kind of introduce yourself just a little bit.
Okay. So I was born and raised in New York City. I moved to Connecticut for a while, and then we moved back to New York and back and forth. So yeah, I'm a city girl. Um,
That's a
I have a lot of siblings.
There
I
you
have
go.
a big family. And I'm in New York right now. So I mean, I
So
have
you're
children. I have 3 children, and I'm nervous right now. So
That's okay. That's cool. You're a mother of three living in New York, which is um, right now still seems pretty scary because of all the COVID-19 stuff still going on. I don't know if you guys have had a lot of spike in numbers again, but down here in Texas, it's gone to record numbers. So they're going back to shutting down a lot of stuff because quote unquote people don't know how to control themselves. So
I
that's
don't know if I should comment on that.
Go
I don't know if
ahead.
I should. I don't know if I. Okay. Well, I think our president's an asshole, and I'm sorry for anybody that supports him. Um,
Hey,
you know.
this is an opinion show. So if you have an
So
opinion,
I mean, I don't want no hate for that, but I watched um actually my friend, my childhood friend, 37 years old, passed away a week before Mother's Day from COVID. She's
mm,
37. Um, Queens looked like a morgue in Elmhurst, and then the rioting and everything, and people don't understand what's going on. People are pissed. People are
yeah,
mad. We want to know what the fuck is going on. This New York City's an island. You can't get off this bitch without going through a bridge or a tunnel.
underpass.
You know what?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to say, like, there's a lot of us motherfuckers here. So we want to know what's going on because we're used to being so close together. You know?
Yeah, yeah, and of course, it's such a dense populated area with so many people
Mm-hmm.
living there, and it's kind of hard to tell somebody, hey, just stay inside, right?
It really
It
is.
is. It's maddening at points to say, hey, you know, don't go outside, people. Don't live, is what they're essentially kind of telling us to do, and it's sort of nutty. But again,
I mean, I shouldn't say I shouldn't. You know what? That's just my opinion about the big guy. And I'm not saying that this is his fault, but what I'm saying is he could have done better for New
Yes.
Yorkers
Yes, he could.
instead of blaming our governor for hiding ventilators and shit like that. But I mean,
Yeah, and
moving on. I mean, it's just stupid shit. Like it's all politics when people's lives, like, you know what I mean? I can't tell you the amount of people I know that tested positive for COVID and
exactly.
couldn't see their children. And, you know, my girlfriend dying, it was just like, and she had to die alone. Like, it's the most fucked up thing.
It is.
You know,
And these are
I had,
these are the realities of what's going. And this is the thing. Okay, these are the realities of what's going on. I've been a very big proponent of, hey, if you have to go out, please be safe. I mean, it's pretty simple, right? I mean, but people take their liberties too far and feel like, oh, we're being stripped of our rights. We're stripped of these things. We're
yeah,
stripped of
that's
it.
some
Look,
weird shit.
you're just telling you, put on a mask, wear some gloves. Please think about other people. That's all that we really want.
But this like extremist like type shit, like that's where
I
again it
understand.
becomes political.
It
If
is.
one person doesn't wear it, now none of us are wearing it because it's not true. The fuck it's not true. When you look outside and you see freezer trucks all the way down the block in the city because they need it for dead bodies, that's a fucking problem. That's
Get
a
it.
problem.
There we
But,
go.
yeah.
You know, so that's okay. I love this. I love it when you get a little bit fired up. So let's go ahead and get started about your story. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your past and you know, because I think your story has a lot of impact that will help a lot of people who might be in similar situations. So tell us a little bit about your past, and then we'll talk about um, what you're trying to do. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about it.
All right. So, like I said, I was born and raised in New York. Growing up, I had a pretty confusing life. You know, when you're young, you don't really know what's going on, but like I don't have a lot of good memories with my mother or things like that. So, you know, growing up, there was just a lot of lies and secrets within my family. And I found out when I was like 13 years old that the father I thought was my father the whole time wasn't. And, you know, my whole family knew about it. All sorts of like crazy shit. So, you know, I really didn't care about shit. I was stealing cars. I was put in juvenile detentions. I mean, like, I'm only 5 feet, 135 pounds. I'm not some big, bad, like, crazy chick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, it was like my way out. Like, I didn't give a shit. I was skipping school. I was getting into fights at school. I hated my home life with my mother, and my stepfather was an alcoholic. God rest his soul. He turned out to be an amazing man when he quit drinking, but the fighting and I didn't even realize, I knew it wasn't normal, but at the same time, it kind of was.
Yeah.
Like the fighting with them and the screaming and, you know, them throwing down in the kitchen and, you know, like it would be ridiculous. So it was like, I was kind of raised with a tough mother that always was like, she was just really tough. She was really tough.
Yeah.
And, you know, by the time I was 13, I was in a detention center, and then 14, then 15. I actually ended up meeting the father of my children. My best friend was dating his cousin, and they were new to our area.
Yeah.
So, you know, I didn't really like the guy at first or whatever, but I was always with my best friend, and he was there, and I was young, and I ended up getting involved with him at 15.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting pregnant and becoming a mother at 16.
Wow.
And yeah, and the first words out of my mother's mouth was like abortion. And this is coming from a
Wow.
Catholic woman, right? Fucking abortion. Whatever.
Wow.
She never said it though. She never said it. She has amnesia. But anyway, so I was like, no, you know, I'm gonna do what I have to do. So we went to court. I got emancipated at 16 and had to, get out on my own, get my own place, what have you. So this guy was like in and out. And, I would always hear rumors, like always with all these other women and this, that. But, I didn't really always believe what I heard.
Yeah, of course.
But then it, came to the point, and I mean, to any young ones listening, really, when it gets to the point of like they don't want you around certain people, certain friends, I never dressed provocative or nothing. I always kept it classy. It was never like he did not like that. He didn't like me looking nice or, certain people I hung around with. And that was probably the warning signs that I didn't see then. I mean, I'm 40 now, so I see it. That was years ago. But unfortunately, I was with him for almost 12 years through that. And, the first time that I really knew, like, okay, like I thought I was going to die was when I had came home after having my son. And I mean, when I was in the, 16 and pregnant, I didn't have nobody.
Yeah.
I didn't have nobody. My friends didn't want to, hang out with me.
Yeah, with the mom now, right?
Exactly. They wanted to go do their thing, and Belle was like, oh, she's pregnant. So, but he would go away a lot, and say he was going away for business, and I was just raised not to ask any questions. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And a lot of those times he was, cheating and with other women. So, at my age, I just felt like, you know what, my family thinks I'm not going to be able to do this. They're already like deading me and disowning me. So I don't want them to know what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then they're going to be like, oh, we told you so, So, but I did dance all my life, professionally dance. And, I had high hopes and dreams and stuff. So when I got pregnant, it's like everything just, that was it, like done. But I would do it all over again because I have 2 beautiful sons from him. So yeah, so it started with, just pushing me around, and I'm just so passionate about domestic abuse and sexual assault because I've been through it, and I went through it for years, and I like suffered in silence because I wasn't raised to, pick up the phone and call the police on everything, but then I had nobody else to call. I had,
Yeah.
And so I was working 2 jobs. I was a new mother. I was going to school to be an EMT at the time. And I did it, and I started working in-house, out-house. I started working my way up the ranks. And I was dealing with domestic abuse at home, like bad, like really bad.
Yeah.
And my son was seeing it, and
so like if something happened at home and you had to go to work, I mean, did you lie? Did you like try to cover it up, or did you, I mean, did it ever get to that point where you're like, if he, bruised you or anything like that, and you would just write it off as, oh, I fell or anything? Did you cover up anything like that?
All the time. I
Wow.
mean, I had, I actually had dropped down from a full-time position to go part-time and per diem to pick up like as much hours as I can.
Yeah.
And not have to see the people on the unit that I was working with before, because they started asking like, hey,
wow,
what, you got like finger marks on your arms, or, my neck would look like, like it had a burn or something like that, because, from that. And the first time he ever assaulted me, like I said, I had just gotten out of the hospital. I had my son. I was really sick after I had my son. And he said something and I said something, being a smartass, and he turned around and just started choking the shit out of me, and I had to actually throw myself like backwards out a window and stand on my bed and like get myself out the window and run to my friend's father's house with no shirt on. It was just like humiliating. But you would have thought I would have left then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I thought like, oh, he must love me. Like that's how fucked up it was. You know, like it I knew it wasn't right, but at the same time,
you didn't know what else to do, right?
I didn't. Like the purest love I ever felt was when I had my son. And you know, that was a whole different love. Any parent can say that's a whole nother love.
Yeah.
But I never even felt that from my own mother. So, you know, it was just like trying to hide it, and he would do stuff in front of like his friends. I mean, his friends would his cousin walked in on him, like choking me to where I couldn't even breathe. I could even barely see. I had to throw myself out a damn window. So, like, and his cousin closed the door and walked out.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like, you know, but yeah. So you know, I would try to leave the situation, and he'd scare my friends away or scare the people away, and he knew I wasn't going to tell my family, so I stayed with that for many, many years. I ended up pregnant with my second son, and he assaulted me after I had my son, where he like was dead. He had beaten me in the head so bad I was found having grand mal seizures. He sexually assaulted me, and he just left me like I was garbage on a kitchen floor. So
oh my God.
Yeah, that was the turning point of, you know what, I need to get the fuck out of here. Like, I need to go, and who cares, who knows what. Like, you know, when your son is only 9 years old and he asks his mother, and you know, I've never said this like publicly, like, you know, why when he woke up in the middle of the night was mommy crying and his dad on top of her naked. My son ended up growing up and realizing that his father was sexually assaulting me, and ended up with post-traumatic stress disorder. And you know, I
wow, that's
so
I know it's got to be hard to go back and
yeah.
I mean, I'm like you right at this point, and I didn't even experience that. So to go to that point in your life, and wow, I mean, so let's take a minute. Let's recap real quick, guys. Let's get our legs, because that's it's pretty intense, folks, if you're watching.
And I don't mean to be too blunt.
No.
That's just how I am. Like, I say it how it is. I'd rather tell the truth than to lie, you know?
Yeah. So you know, exactly. You've lived enough lies. You've lived enough of trauma already to say, why do I want to continue being that way? So let me ask you this, because this is something that at what point, what certain point was there did you say, I gotta leave now, or he's gonna, or I might just end up dead, and my boys will be motherless?
Well, you know, so I was laying on the floor, and he had said something. I knew he had taken drugs or something, because it was just the behavior. It was real bad. And he said, I'll end it all right here. I'll end it all right here. Like, meaning like he's gonna shoot the kids and me and then kill himself. And he had a gun. And I just laid on the floor, and like I said, um, it was like, you know what? I'd rather fucking die trying to get away from him than to die laying here and knowing that my children never saw their mother fight that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
was like, no, fuck this shit. Because all those years I was going to work in the medical field, when I worked on EMS and when I worked in-house, taking care of people is what that that's what I
Was a
love to
saving
do.
that
It
was a
saved
saving grace.
It
Yeah,
was. No matter what went on at home, and he didn't even live with me. He used to like stalk me, break into my apartment. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I know a lot of people say, "Well, that's just too much. Why did you stay?" Unless you're in that situation, every situation is different.
it
So for
is.
women that are in that situation and people are saying, "Oh, she's just fucking stupid. She won't leave. She won't leave." You don't know her story. So don't judge unless you know the story.
Wow.
So,
That's
I I worked, and I would work long shifts. It helped me no matter what was going on at home. Working always helped me. I realized then that it wasn't meant for me to be a professional dancer. It was my job to help other people. And when I started having the seizures, I was on a medical leave, and then I got promoted to, I got a better offer at another place, and it was a really big deal. And I ended up having a seizure on my shift,
yeah. That's
so they
okay.
took my job away.
That's all right, guys. But here's the silver lining in all of this, Bella. Everything that you've been through, everything that all the experiences you got, you're still standing.
Absolutely.
You're still here pushing. You still have the ability to make a difference in somebody else's life. Somebody's listening to this right now, and
I
they're
hope
gonna
so.
think, um, if somebody like Bella can get through something like this, so can I. So,
Absolutely.
let me ask you, what advice would you give? What advice would you give somebody who's at that point where I'm scared out of my wits to think about it, but I know that if I stay, there could be something worse happening. What would advice did you give somebody like that wanting to make that that decision to leave their situation?
First thing, I mean, what do you have to lose? You stay there, it's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. And I know that. Like, I know that if I stayed any longer, I would have been dead. Because even after I left, I can tell you right now, in real time, right now, he knows where I live. He knows what I drive. He knows he knows everything. It's always going to be like that, unfortunately. But I'm
Yeah,
not afraid anymore. I lived so many years in fear, and that's why now I want to tell my story to help even one person. Because if you're in a situation and he's cut you off from everybody, or come up with a plan. Put an overnight bag together. Go hide it in the bushes by your car. Make a spare key. Put it on your tire. I know these sound crazy, but these are things that I actually did. So, that I knew if I had to run out of the house in the middle of the night, I can't grab my keys. I have my key on my back tire. You know? So, if there's so many resources out there, if you can get away, tell somebody. There's so many resources to help people now. I
there's
work as a coach, and I do it pro bono for women that are dealing with domestic violence. Like, I don't want to be paid for that. Like, I love these women, and I don't even know them. You
yeah.
know, I love them. I feel it, and I mean it. It's just one
It's
day.
but that's what I this is what I tell people, Bella, about they're living their lives and being able to go make change. you're helping somebody else by using what you know, what you've experienced, and giving your advice to what somebody might, because again, it's always going to be up to the person to leave. But at least if you tell them about what the options are, what is the situation? Is it that dire? If it is, I mean, you're helping them figure out, you know what, I think I got to get out of here. I mean, that's a problem for a lot of people to figure out, to disconnect emotionally from that other person and say, okay, I have to leave, because that big fear is there, that big wall that's in front that says, hey, don't go nowhere. It's like
Mm-hmm.
stopping you from taking the steps. And again, like you said, unless you're in that situation, somebody looking from the outside is going to say, oh, it's easy, just leave. It's not that simple.
It's
it,
not, because
it's
it's a
not the,
process. It's a process. It didn't start like boom. I mean, it was the flowers, the manipulation. Let me tell you, this man is brilliant. He's genius. He's a narcissistic, sociopath, manipulative motherfucker. Like, but he's smart, and most of them are, and that's how they get you. And let me just be clear: this isn't just men, because women also are abusers. Men get
mm-hmm.
abused too.
Yeah,
Children get abused too. So I don't want to make this just about women, but in my case, I'm speaking for
yeah,
myself.
exactly.
But
and
it
it,
does happen.
and of course, yeah. And sometimes it's really hard to accept the truth, um, of the situation, and even for people who know the facts of what the situation is, sometimes it's so difficult. And you know I read a book called Talking to Strangers, and this is what Malcolm Gladwell calls defaulting to truth. And what he means by that is, if you say you've known someone all your life, they commit a horrendous crime, and you've known this person for 20 years and you won't believe that they did it, you're defaulting back to what your idea of their truth is. So the truth of the matter is, somebody got murdered, or somebody got, whatever, but you don't want to believe it. That person can't do that. There's no way. So your mind just instantly goes back to believing what you want it to believe, not the facts that are what's going on. So if that's the situation, sometimes imagine being the victim in that situation, trying to figure it out, knowing the truth of the matter, but yet it's hard to accept the fact. So unless you're sitting in somebody else's shoes like that, I tell people, do not judge.
Don't judge.
Don't judge. Why would you?
Not even the person walking down the street, with a hobo or a bum. You just can't. You cannot judge. You can't,
You
because
don't know what.
everybody has a story, and you don't know. After I left him, I actually ended up getting severely depressed because everything caught up with me, and
Mm-hmm.
I started overthinking. I ended up being diagnosed with depression, anxiety disorder, PTSD. I was having flashbacks, night terrors, and you know, I was embarrassed to take an antidepressant, but I had to do what I had to do. I was tired. I was so tired, and
Bella,
this went on for years.
yeah, but I'm gonna tell you what. Okay, what you've went through, a lot of people would have only stopped at halfway of that journey, wouldn't even made it that far. So even to get to that point and say, oh, how can I even think about judging somebody for taking an antidepressant because their life has been tough? Guess what? You didn't. That's a pretty tough life. So that's why I tell people, don't judge. Now, what my opinion about what medication and everything else is, I think it works swimmingly well if you start including it with some kind of mental health program. But to say that it's bad to be taking an antidepressant, or to be, that's not the fact
That's
of the
my
matter.
mother made me
Yeah,
believe that. My
yeah.
my mother made me believe that.
Medication paired with the right sort of program works perfectly for some people. Gets them back into a state of mind of feeling um, somewhat normal.
Right.
Um, because again, here's the thing about all of that. All those memories and all that stuff does not go away. They stay there for the rest of your life. So to thinking back and trying to work through all of the pain and all the stuff, and that takes a very long time, because again, it took a very long time for it to happen to you. So for somebody to think, oh, I just left and cool, I'm gone, I've been gone a year and now I'm great, that doesn't happen that way. It's like somebody when they gain weight. When somebody gains weight and they get 300 pounds, you just can't lose 300 pounds and go, okay, I'm cool. It takes just as
Exactly.
much time as it took to get to that weight, it takes to lose it. Same thing when you're dealing with something like that emotionally. It took a long time to get to that point where even for you to leave and then to
Yeah.
get out of there. So I wouldn't expect, and I don't think anybody should expect to say, "Oh yeah, she's cured, she's fine." You're using the best of what you know and taking what's gone through your life, um, and you're making at least a difference in somebody else's life, and um, that's what I really admire about what you're doing, Bella. It's not easy. Um, it's not easy at all, because again, you're talking to other women and talking or to other people, so let's just say other people, about their experiences like that, and it takes you instantly back to what you went through,
Hmm.
and so it touches that nerve again. But again, the spirit of your heart is you want to help these people get out of that situation. You want to give them the best advice that you possibly can, and you know it because you lived it.
Right. It's not love. It's not love. It's not going to get better. One thing you can't do is change somebody who doesn't want to change. And, you know, good thing I got out when I did, because he went on to do other things. So, you really got to just, I mean, especially our youth, we have to speak life into these kids and teach them early, especially, you know, our daughters and our sons, about domestic abuse, because my oldest son now doesn't really know how to treat his girlfriend right. He doesn't hit her, but he still has, you know,
Yeah, he saw it. It's sometimes
it's
we become a product of the environment, and we see, so seeing that and thinking that that's normal behavior. I mean, it's a reason that sometimes people who grow up in alcoholic homes either have to do one or two things. They either
yeah,
fight it vehemently and they stay away from alcohol, or they follow the pattern and go right back into alcohol again, because that's the same thing that they've seen growing up. It's a very hard cycle to get out of.
it's terrible. It's terrible because, like I said, to leave one situation and then your firstborn son is now dealing with his emotions and having anger outbursts and stuff. I was very angry for a long time too, but my anger was depression, and
Yeah.
that's what ended up happening, and that's why I am where I am now, that I decided to take the time to educate myself and to volunteer to help other women while I'm out of work. You know,
Exactly, but here's what I love about it. Uh, you know, whenever you're taking that first whenever you're taking that first step to even change your life, right? It's never easy, and especially in an instance like yours where you're changing it because you want to live. For most people, it's, oh, I want to change my life. I want to get out of the habit of what I'm doing, or I want to change my work, or I want to change my thing. It's a little bit of different bit of change when you're talking about changing my life, because I don't want to end up dead one day. And that some people, it's hard to understand. Um, you're always going to have the naysayers. You're always going to have the people who think, oh, all women are liars. They don't,
yes,
whatever. They don't, they just do this to men and blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you what, that's full of shit. I'm a man. I've never cussed at my wife. I've never called her a bad name in my life. It can happen. Want to know why? Because I learned that from my father. My father was the same way. He never did that. Always had the utmost respect for his partner, for a woman. You don't have to go through this. I'm sorry that you had to, and I'm sorry that people gonna call you name callers and say you can't do, oh, these women, they're just out to get us. No, they're not.
Yeah, I have nothing to lie about. And like I said, you know, there are people that do things for, whether it's money or notoriety or whatever, you know, that
Hmm.
make it bad for people that are really going through things. But like I said, you don't even know why they're doing that. It's pretty pathetic and sad that they would have to do that, you know. So like I said, everybody has a story. Something's not right.
You know, and that's the thing, um, Bella, that I say that's at least a good thing about the life that you're in right now. At least you got past that part. And going into the future, um, you know, seeing that you have a heart of a servant, you want to help other people. You want to help people figure out their situations. What are some of the things that you would suggest to somebody who says, I've I'm an abuser. Let's say, put it the other way. I'm an abuser, but I want to change who I am. You
Wow,
know,
that would
that's a
be
that's a
that would
different. So, what would you give an advice to somebody like that who's actually done the abuse and has realized in this point in his life that or not his. Let me reword that. That's not a fair statement to say, but let me say this person says, you know what, I've done these things in the past. I want to change. What advice would you give to somebody who says that?
um I apologize for the noise. I live.
That's okay. That's okay. Don't worry about that. But
Um, that's an interesting question. Wow, you really twisted it on me.
well, the
I
only
would
reason.
actually, that would be a kick-ass conversation, because first off, for somebody to ever come and be like, "Hey, I'm an abuser and I want to change," that's fucking beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, what? It is. Listen, I've been a victim of abuse. I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim. I was a victim.
Hmm.
And here I'm looking at somebody, you know, that's victimizing somebody else.
Hmm. Yes.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. You know why? Because I know people can change. And that person is saying, I want to change. I'm
Yes.
not going to look at them any less, because I don't know what childhood they had brought up, but they're at least acknowledging that they want to change. I can't even tell you what I would say, but I know it would be the best fucking conversation in the world.
Right. Because that's a different spin on it.
Because I could ask how they feel, and they can ask how I feel, and we can. And if so many of us did that shit in this world, it would be such a better place overall, not just
Yeah.
with domestic abuse.
Yes. And
How
and
do we change?
how
How
do
do we
we
change?
change it? Yeah. So if somebody actually takes to that point and says, you know what, I've made these mistakes in my life, um, whatever reason they found God or they found something, whatever it is that led them to that point, and they say that I want to change. I'm like
I
you.
think I'd tell them to ask. I think I would. I'm just going off my head. If somebody asked me that right this minute, I think I'd be like, why don't we go do something where we can volunteer to make a difference together, so they can see that part of not beating
Yes.
somebody down, but helping them build them up. You know what I mean?
Yes, and that's another thing. So would you recommend somebody wanting to um, would you recommend somebody who's leaving, would you recommend counseling to somebody, or I mean, would you tell somebody, hey, go seek some kind of assistance to help you um, walk through these emotions, because I'm pretty sure it's pretty heavy to think
Absolutely.
about.
Absolutely, because I wasted years being depressed, confused. Why did this happen? Losing my faith in God, mad at the world, you know. But the worst part was mad at myself and beating the shit out of myself, like mentally and emotionally. um I would suggest a therapist or a counselor if that's something that they were willing to do, because I know that I was the one that was like, I'm not talking to a fucking stranger. They can't tell me blah 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 blah. And
Yeah.
when I saw one, it helped me so much.
Yeah, right. And that's something
You
that's
do.
it because again,
And
you
they have resources. There's so many resources now
so it's
to
and it's
get you help.
yeah. So and that's one of the things that when you send somebody to when they go talk to a therapist, like you said, right? That's probably going to be the initial reaction. I don't. What are they going to be able to tell me? They're not going to. What they can do is offer ways to look at it, find help you look inside because you're changing your whole situation. You're essentially changing your whole life. And when
Absolutely.
you change your whole life, I've never known nobody who just changed their life and did not get help. Um, Even if you're changing your life, not even from the situation we're talking about, but just changing your life altogether. Uh, Divorce. People get divorced all the time. I mean, you change your life and you uproot like that, you're gonna have to have some kind of um, help along the way. And if it's counseling, if it's therapy, those are all very, very useful avenues to go help you get in a good mindset. It's difficult to do it on your own because again, you get stuck in your head a lot. You get stuck in your
Oh
head.
my God, yes.
You
I
get
was stuck in my head forever.
and you
I was so stuck in my head.
and you rationalize things irrationally.
Yes.
So you think things the way that they go through, and that's not a natural. That's not a healthy way to look at your problems. It's sometimes it's opening up, and the hardest part for a lot of victims is learning how to be vulnerable again because they've guarded themselves for so long because they've had to, you know. So to open up to a stranger and say, "I'm going to be vulnerable, talk to you, tell you everything," that's you know it's very difficult. But again,
It is very difficult.
but you start seeing changes in yourself when you start doing that.
Right.
Um,
I've seen changes in myself from starting to talk about it, you know, and
it it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be able to be that way.
release it and get it out.
Yeah, because it does. You don't. That's a get that out there because again, you keep holding on to it. Those emotions don't. Again, those emotions and those thoughts and those memories never leave. They will come back up again at another point in
How
your
we
life.
deal with them.
It's
We have to learn how to deal with them. I feel I'm learning. I'm a work in progress, but at the same time, I've come so far. I've come
yeah.
so far, and I'm so grateful for that because I have come so far. Let me tell you, I was a hot fucking mess.
That's
Let me
okay.
tell you.
It's always okay because even me, I seem like sometimes a really well put together, composed person, and I still have to work on myself.
We
So
all
we all do. We all have to continue to work on ourselves. That's the only way we get better as people.
absolutely.
That's the strongest way you're going to make yourself a better person, and that's also how you're going to help somebody else. Is
Hmm.
to be able to say, you know what, I can help you. I've gone down this route. I've gone down these avenues. I know these things. I know the pain. Um,
Exactly.
because again, that's for us, for a lot of people who haven't gone through abuse, we don't know what that pain's like. And
No.
that pain carries a different weight from abuse to rape to all these things that have been going on in your life. And it's hard to go back and touch that spot again. But if it helps somebody,
That's
I
all
think
that matters.
it's all that matters. I think that's where it's so beautiful. So, woo! What a conversation, Bella. So we've almost been on for an hour. Like I said, you won't
Thank
realize how quickly these conversations go. So
I get
um,
so nervous.
it does, but once you start opening up and talking about the things that you know and sharing those sort of things, it gets a little bit easier. Um, so I tell people, I know you get nervous the first. If I get you the first 10, 15 minutes, you start relaxing. It'll be easy breezy, and you'll feel a lot better. And then you're helping other people. I mean, there's people like Sarah who are there that are here. Like, thank you so much. You you've added value tonight to somebody else's journey, and that speaks
Oh,
That's
I can't see it, but
it is Bella. Believe me, I
tell
promise.
Sarah I said I
Uh,
love her too.
yes. So now it's the time. I ask every single guest that I have on the same question. So I'm going to ask you, and it's a little.
Oh
It's,
shit! What are you doing?
okay, here it goes. Here it goes. Here it goes. Okay, so it's a pretty simple question. It goes, when the book is said and done on Bella Marciano, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind, and what do you want to be remembered for?
Wow.
Pretty heavy question, but I
For
love.
writing my own life,
Yeah,
for not letting somebody else keep controlling it, for taking over, and
that.
for doing what I want to do and what I need to do, and for living. I mean, I spent from 15 years old to almost 28. That's all my teenage years.
Yeah, you've almost.
So I'm living, and if I was to leave a legacy, it's just like
That's
I'm
good,
just gonna keep fighting. I'm gonna keep.
and that's a good enough legacy right there. Is if anything, is to keep fighting.
That's
Um,
it.
you know, so she's telling you, Sarah's saying that you're making her cry honestly, and she loves you. Um,
Oh, sorry.
so that's okay. This is a good
I
thing.
love Sarah too.
It's awesome. So I love that answer for me because again, you're fighting. You're going to spend the rest of your life going to live. You've lived already in a lifestyle where you felt dead inside. So now you feel like you want to get out and go live life and make the most of it. And I love the fact that you're doing that, Bella. I'm always going to be your biggest fan. I'm going to tell you what. So
Thank you.
I love these kind of stories because it's a true testament that even though there's evil in the world, we can find ways to get past it. And people
There's more good than bad.
bad
Yeah.
in this world. And I know it sounds terrible that you had to do that, but you're also a light for somebody else. Um, there,
Yeah.
there's somebody else in this world who's going to find this video one night, and they're going to know that you know what, that woman. I don't know who she is. I don't know where she is, but she's changed my life, and that makes real impact. And this is why I love creating these shows and putting this out there. So thank you, Bella, so much for taking the time out of your evening to come on and have this conversation. It's really meant a lot to me.
And thank you. I appreciate it. And I just want to say, when I did go through really bad times, I almost convinced myself in my head that was I started getting so used to it that I would think, this is happening to me because I'm sparing some other woman tonight. Like I know it sounds bizarre, but like in
No,
my head, I felt like I'm taking this because somebody else isn't going to get it tonight. So
that's good. Hey, no,
that's how I kept going, and till this day, I just that's
feel
how I
that.
thought
No,
about it.
that's a beautiful.
But just to
Yeah,
spare another woman, like that's just how I had to make myself believe that. But
yeah.
I appreciate you so much, and you've become such a good friend, and I thank you
And
very much.
anytime you reach out to me, this is I don't call my guests anymore guests. I call them family because they're
Okay.
always welcome to come back. They're always welcome to come share their stories, and I always love to see them and connect with them and watch them grow.
Well, you have a
Because
sister in me. I'm
there you
here.
go. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching the show this evening. David Pollock, David Munford, Sarah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Mr. Mike Padurano, I know we were joking earlier, my friend, but I love you, brother. You helped me so much. He's a super great guy, and
He
he
is.
always aces in my book. So thank you as well. Thank you, Bella. And hold tight. I want to just ask you one more thing, and everybody else. I will be back Monday evening, 7 o'clock. Sunday night, I will go live and I will go over the guest list for the whole week coming up. So everybody else, thank you so much for taking the time out of the evening. I hope you enjoyed this conversation because it really was life-changing for me. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.